air that's going into the balloon as like unspoken frustration, right? And as we continue to blow the balloon up, it's going to reach a point where that balloon is just going to pop. Welcome back. Welcome back. So, the new accessories are out, and unfortunately, the player base numbers are not really reflecting this big change into the game, which is definitely not the right direction that we want to go, right? I think the developers think they're trying to improve their game, but as the players numbers show, it's not really working. Which, if we look at Steam, that's just kind of a sub portion of the population, right? Like I play through the main launcher and not through Steam, and I'm sure a good portion of the population does that as well. But it still shows a good snapshot of the players in general, right? That are kind of playing or not playing the game, and I think it shows that the developers just have really no direction, and the person who is leading them so far is just kind of disconnected from what the player base actually wants, right? Which just blows my mind. Like, if we look at Lost Ark, 1 to 2 years ago when the player base was just fed up with the changes from those three stooges that took over Gold River's position. I don't know if you remember those three guys, but guess what? At least someone high up in Lost Ark, right, understood the situation and had Gold River come back and do an emergency stream to address all of the concerns and to state that, he's going to find a better director to take over his position. But with BDO, the developers just seem to kind of ignore the community, which is crazy because, like, bro, we pay your salaries, right? And, that they know that the player base is dropping because they gave us another free J-Hammer if you log on and just play the game, and a few other free stuff too, which I'm not complaining about. But they did mention, like with Node Wars, they were going to give us the option to choose kind of which system that we wanted, which I don't think that's really going to make a huge difference. Like the player tolerance is definitely reaching a bullying point, right? And maybe we're already past that point. I don't really know, right? Like, for instance, let's take a balloon, okay? And each time you blow into that balloon, it gets bigger, right? And I want you to think of the air that's going into the balloon as like unspoken frustration, right? And as we continue to blow the balloon up, it's going to reach a point where that balloon is just going to pop, right? And I don't think we're there just yet, but we're definitely heading into that direction. And I don't know what they really can do. If Jay would step down and a new director took over, would that help the direction of the game? I really don't know. I do know that I love this game and I only wanted to see it in a positive state. So, just a lot of concerns there. But let's talk about those new accessories that just came out. I'm not the biggest fan of them personally. And, the big reason why is that it forces every player to enhance. Whereas before, if you didn't want to enhance, you could just buy the gear off the marketplace. But now with the new accessories and the new sovereign weapons, you're forced to use crons and you're forced to enhance your gear, which I really don't know if that's a good direction for the game, to be honest. For me personally, I don't like that type of restriction. And with BDO over the years, right, you had that freedom with the gear to either enhance it or to just buy your gear off the marketplace. And now, you really can't say, like as before, if you didn't like to enhance, you could just buy your gear. But now that's kind of just starting to get phased out of the game, which I will say props to them with the enhancing aspect of enhancing, because they have dramatically improved that aspect with the pity system. But either way, I just don't like the restriction. It does seem that these new accessories are cheaper to make, therefore making them a little bit easier for more players to obtain, which I do like that aspect. And I guess another kind of con is the lack of diversity of the gear now, which for me personally, I don't really care because you can now put like specific traits that you want onto these accessories to kind of still give you that diversity of the gear. You know, like if you want to stack AP or accuracy, right, you could do that. I think another issue with the new additions of this type of gear is like, what's the point of getting this gear when there's really no need for it? Because most of the content is gear capped anyway, right? And with open world PvP kind of being non-existent, there's really nothing to push you to get this gear, unless maybe you live like on the Arsha server. But let me know down in the comments kind of what your thoughts are. Do you like the new accessories and kind of the new direction of forcing its player base to kind of enhance and rely on crons? But we're going to take a look at this post and kind of see what people are saying. So let's go ahead and look at that now. All right, so we keep falling even after big updates. What can PA do to stop this? And then this person here kind of puts a picture up of the player base. Now look, this is kind of a little bit of a clickbait here. This person probably just took a picture of kind of like the lowest point, right? And so if we actually look at the Steam charts, we can see here that that's really not the case, that there's a significant decline. We can see that the average player, now if we look at in the total average span of the year, yes, it has declined, right? Big time. And we can see here, 20,000 back in 2023 December. Now we're down to 10,000 players. So we've lost like half for almost about a year ago, right? However, with this recent update with the new accessories, we did gain a whopping 15 more players. Or no, I'm sorry, 10 more players. 10 more players. So a 0.10% gain. But I think that kind of goes back to what I was saying originally, that the new accessories, because it is a pretty significant update to the game, right? Adding these new accessories into the game. And we can see that the player base really just does not care. Like 10 more players came back. So you can see that the content is still kind of not what the player base is really asking for, right? And so, yeah, this is a little bit misleading. There was a small 0.10% gain from the previous update, but still really nothing significant. So if we look at the comments here, and we're definitely not going to go through all of these comments because there is a lot. So we'll go through a few of them and kind of go over it and talk about it. So go back in time and start carrying a couple years ago. 293 upvotes. That is crazy. And I think that's a huge concern for a lot of the players, is that we just don't feel like Perlibus is really listening to us, right? Like they are to an extent, but it's not kind of the direction that we want to go in, right? They're changing the game to fit their needs, but they're not really looking at our needs, right? As a majority, right? Of course, you're going to have the minority that says kind of one thing, but I think the majority has a really valid concern on the state of the game. This game has expired in the Western market, and even in the Eastern market, they're just milking the whales that have stuck around due to its addiction. This game is addicting, though. Let's be honest. Gosh, I've been addicted to this game since 2016. It is so hard. It is so hard to put this game down. So hard. Who would have figured grinding in a circle would be so addicting? I guess the combat has a really important aspect of that too, but I came back in the spring to check out the new content, hoping to start fresh and get back into the swing of things, but there's so Few players doing instance PvP. There is no in-game PvE. No, there is in-game PvE. Grinding in a circle or grinding at a stationary tower. They do have group bosses now. They're in the Land of the Morning Light, which I wish they would have like a matchmaking party system for that. That's kind of annoying. Like if they had something like that, that would be so much easier for players to kind of get into it. The open world PvP is on life support. Yeah, what open world PvP? Like it's already long gone. It's dead. It's not even on life support anymore. It's done with. And there are no planned updates we've heard of to change any of this besides new costumes and classes. Really? New costumes? Not even that, really. Like, what, one every few weeks? If that? There's nothing in the world itself to do besides clock at the beautiful combat. Combat is pretty great. What would bring me back for the long haul is more emphasis on group PvE content, which they did add group bosses at the Land of the Morning Light, which is fun. I think we definitely need more, though, for sure. Right? We definitely need more. And maybe they're going in the right direction with adding these group bosses. I think there's still a barrier, though, to do these bosses because there's really no matchmaking system. So, you know, unless you're like in a very active guild, and, you know, even the party board system is not the greatest either. Like, you might be able to find a party maybe like Friday, Saturday to do them, but it's just kind of hard to try these bosses out. They need to get people out of their solo grinds, put things in the world to incentivize group PvE. This in turn would bring out the world PvP again. Well, they took out world PvP, right? So if they didn't make the guild deck changes and the karma changes, and yes, would incentivize group PvE, then sure, yeah, that would definitely help out with the PvP again. But, you know, without the karma changes and the deck changes, then it doesn't really matter. Like, just doesn't. Even if they announce big changes at the next ball, I don't believe for a second they'll do anything. They have a history of promising a billion things at these events that never make it into the game. So true. I did a video on that. And in the video, I kind of looked at all of the previous events and all the things that they said that they were going to do, and looked at the things that we didn't get, right? And it's a pretty good list. It's just a way of calming the crowd, and you can only pull that so often before the players get wise to it. Yep. I mean, they have done better over the years of promising content and actually following through with it. But yes, they still do that for sure. They have 2 pieces of content that announced in the last year, the 100 floor dungeon, which would be awesome. I really hope they don't go back on that. I think this would be so cool. I guess we'll have to see kind of how it plays, but man, that would be so cool. And then the demon place, yeah, that'd be really cool too. Both of these were literally nothing but very obvious boardroom spitballing sort of ideas with no concrete information. Hopefully not. Hopefully they have a plan in place. Unless they can drop both of them during the winter ball globally, this game is messed up. Not only those both pieces of content need to be huge success from day one. Yeah, well, I highly doubt they're going to be released during the winter ball at all. PA don't have in them to make a good content, never have. It's always just been a 6 out of 10 at best content, but it's never really mattered because the PvP and combat was carrying the game. I'm not going to look at all the replies because there's a lot of comments here. This goes back to the Debo earring release. I just feel like that was the point everything started to go bad. Yeah, I think maybe a little bit before that too. I don't even remember when the Debo records were even released, to be honest with you. Gosh, how many years ago was that? I don't even know. It started to go way before the Debo earring. They started killing off open world PV or open world around when Elvia came out. There used to be a massive PvP at Orcs all the time, and then they killed off being a red player, and then they killed off one-sided war decks. Those were the 2 things that people enjoyed about open world combat. Yeah, it's kind of that excitement. Like for me, I did not like when someone would interrupt my grind, my 1 hour grind, because it was just kind of a nuisance. But I still enjoyed it because it was like, it was kind of that excitement. Like it kind of just broke up the hour. Then update after update, only more PvP mess ups and quality of life changes. They called content and slowly cutting node wars until Cho leaving the game, and every major PvP doing the same. Didn't help that TNL came out around the same time and their PvP isn't great, but it's definitely isn't bad, and you can have many hundreds of people on the screen at the same time with no lag. That's true. That is true. I think Throne of Liberty literally came out like right at the right time. Like literally at the right time. You can have a thriving game if you make it open world single player PvE. There's no interaction. You know, it'd be different like single player like PvE if the questing and BDO was better. Like after playing New World Eternum, their new player experience and their just questing experience, like learning the game, is so good. Like they have really did a 180 with that game, especially with this new player experience. It's so good. So good. And I'm like really enjoying the questing. The storyline's really good. The cinematics is really good. And it just feels very polished. But like BDO, like the storyline is not that great. It's kind of boring. The voice acting is okay, but there's just not really much interaction. So yeah, like even like in terms of just an open world single player, like it's just kind of so-so. No, it's granted you have a lot of freedom to do what you want, and that's the great thing about BDO. There's no interaction. What drives modern online games? BDO isn't a story-based one. Exactly. Yeah, it's not a story-based one at all. Like Silent Hill 2 that gets played once and then dies. It's an MMO. Yeah. And it should be an MMO with all the elements, but also good storytelling too. I slowed down right after Elvia because of the PvP changes. It got me progressively worse until I finally quit. The only reason I played this game in the first place back in 2017 was the open world PvP and the amazing combat mechanics engine. And that was like the whole reason why you would grind in a circle, was to get gear, which then would also translate you to being able to defend your grinding spot, and kind of having that exciting unknown open world PvP that might just happen at any moment, right? But it's not in the game anymore. And so it's like, what's the real reason why you're grinding when really, there's so many gear caps now that it's kind of irrelevant to get higher gear. When I said I didn't think the PvP changes were good for the life of the game, a bunch of Guardian players told me that this was never a PvP game and that I was basically a selfish wanting world PvP to remain a large part of the game. Well, how the table has turned. That is true. I think a lot of people kind of in the community thought that the PvP changes wouldn't really make that much of a change. But as you can see, there's a lot of PvP players that like to play. How dare you, sir? There's definitely not numbers proving your theories are right, like Steam charts or anything. This was all sarcasm for people who can't pick it up. It's been said over and over on this Reddit and their forums. Fix the end game of the game, aka PvP, which has fallen on deaf ears for years. Why? They do not care about the NAEU region suggestions when it comes to PvP. Just their KR players who aren't allowed to talk bad about the games without risk getting fined or arrested, which is so crazy. That there's a law in KR for bad mouthing company. Like, that's insane. Like what? Now they have their China whales with their new servers, so we are falling even further into them not caring, even though the NA region has been the biggest money getter. Yep. Just don't buy their games going forward if you feel like this. I mean, this person makes all fair points. Yeah, the community went crazy when I said PvP is an integral part of the game. I was called a griefer for enjoying. It just shows PvP was an important part of the game. Yeah, very important. I mean, I feel like that's what the game was kind of designed for, was PvP, right? You did PvE in order to be able to PvP. They really ruined it in January, and the community has done nothing but drop anymore. I don't even think on NA they have sieges now. I don't know because I haven't logged in for 2 months, but everyone I know who are in the top guilds don't even play now. Yeah, it's really sad. BDO can have all the PvE they want. Only chance they have is to go back to 2021. Personally, I think it's done. I'm a casual player at best. Return once a year for a month or two. Open the game. Recently wanted to continue working towards a dream horse. Saw a free dream horse in the mail. Punched the air for 2 minutes with my character and left for good. Now you can work for your T10. That's true. That is true. It was a joke. Where's my free T10? I feel like they've given up on the Western market and are going all in, banking on their China release to save them. Starting to get the same feeling. Yep. 132 upvotes. Yep. Logged in, looked what the accessories is all about, logged off again. Where are those boys at who said you don't need to enhance, just buy from the market? Yep. That's my biggest issue with it, is you can't buy it on the market. It literally forces you to enhance the accessories. And some people just don't like to enhance. Like before the sovereign weapons, like I bought all my gear off the marketplace, right? Like I did enhance my falling god armor, but that's because I have a lot of resources. But if I'd rather just buy off the market than have to enhance. Like all my accessories, I've never enhanced any of my accessories. I bought all those off the market. Ain't no way I'm enhancing that. Nope. So that kind of stinks that you have to now enhance all of your gear and you can't just buy it from the market, right? Like we're just going away from that. Greedy company that isn't satisfied with anything. More. Game is officially renamed to Crawl on Desert Online. Y'all have fun out there. PA saw the comments of don't enhance, just buy. That defended their progression system and took it as feedback. How you only enhance, no buying. Make it in-game. People don't like running circles for no reason. I love running in circles, but I need PvP to justify the effort. Yeah. And I think that was like the huge aspect back in the day was you would grind in circles in order to be able to PvP, and or you would grind and then someone would try to take your spot and you would defend it, and then another person would pull up and then another person would pull up, and then you would have this massive guild war open world aspect, and that was content. But now that's just gone from the game. If you need something to justify it, you don't love running circles, you just do it because there's nothing more to get gear. What? I don't even know what that person is trying to say. If you need something to justify it, you don't love running circles, you just do it because there's nothing more to get gear. I don't know. They add so many catch-up mechanics that reaching what used to be in game is way too easy. Well, I think you need to have catch-up mechanics for sure. Like, especially if you want new players to get into the game, they have to be able to catch up. Because if not, then you're talking about years and years of progression that would take for a new player to get into the game, and they're not going to want to stick around for that. Nothing changes PvE-wise. You can run circles in a new location when getting more gear. There's no value in having high gear, and that's the main issue. Yes. Yep. PA has done a bad job at PvE for the game's entire duration. They gutted PvP every patch this year. There's no actual PvE at early, mid, or in-game. It's all running circles in a new spot. It's true. I mean, I do enjoy running my circles, but that's a valid point. And I think there has to be just more diversity in content that people can do. Right? If you like running a circle, great, keep that. If you like doing traditional dungeons, we should have that as well for players. Like, there should be a variety of content. Getting 2 sovereign weapons ain't easy, and I say that as a return player. There's no way people stay on this game for 100+ hours, lol. BDO never had a good retention of new players because, let's be honest, early game sucks mostly, unless you were playing way back when the content was up to date and everyone was there. But compared to a year ago, you'll gear up way quicker, and you'll probably go from season gear to base, which you can honestly raw tap for free in less than 100 hours of grinding. That's a good point. I mean, it is easier to enhance these accessories. So running in circles so much better than tower defense. I like both. I think it's good to have the running in the circle and the tower aspect as well. Might be too late. I think people are just overwhelmed. Too many New best in slot items coming out in too short amount of time. At least that's how I feel as a veteran who's played this game since release with no breaks. That is a good point. I mean, they've released a lot of new stuff, sovereign weapons, accessories. So it's a lot more kind of vertical content rather than like horizontal content. So yeah, people are getting overwhelmed for sure. I think too, though, it's like, what's the point of getting more vertical progression when it doesn't really mean anything unless you like want to flex on someone or you live in the Arsha server. Up until now, each update with the new item was like a step in a set of stairs. You took that step and then a little breather to prepare for the next step later down the line. But the sovereign weapons, an entire set of new accessories coming out all at once. Feels like they just threw a massive wall in front of me. All the gear I've been building up over the years suddenly feels useless. Even though I know it's not entirely, it's just that, but also an entire set of new crystals that you need to get several of for different builds. Yeah, it can be definitely overwhelming. I find myself in front of this wall that they built overnight and think to myself that I don't want to do this. What's the point of climbing this when they can just throw up another wall once I've climbed that current one? BDO wasn't like this in the past. New items have often just been side grades or new options for different builds. That is true, yeah. But now there's no way around this. You have to get the weapons, accessories you want to keep up with the game and other players. And there's the obvious fact that the new items can't be listed on the marketplace. Yep. And have to be enhanced by yourself with cronstones. So we all know where they want us to go to achieve this. Buy costumes. Give me your money. I don't know. It's just too much for me, and I'm not the only one from my guild of fellow veterans who feel like this. Yeah, a lot of people feel like this for sure. It's true. I feel like I'm behind because we got 8 new items in half a year. How am I supposed to catch up? They essentially patched out of nowhere 8 trillion worth of best of slot items. Yeah, don't forget the fact that you're forced to enhance it yourself. Yep. At least before you knew you could get the gear through the central market. Again, that's my biggest issue. They gambled on attracting a new audience of casual gamers and it failed. They alienated old players and PvPers. Now every new content is just the same grind for 3+ number, and the grind is mind numbing now. Even open world PvP was annoying at times. It added spice to the grinds. Yep. That take many dozens of hours. It was also motivation. This is what happens when you cave and give in to past buyers. They came in, demanded the game be destroyed and rebuilt for them, then left anyway. PA deserves this, to be honest. I think this person's talking about when the Lost Ark players came in. Yeah. Most of the sub asked for everything you just mentioned and nuked anyone saying that it would be a bad idea. All the new spots are tower grinds. Can't even run in circles anymore. At least I prefer tower grinds. It's easier on my aging wrist and joints as it's far lower APM than larger spots. Old people. We're boomers. Carpal tunnel enjoys cries. Yeah. I couldn't imagine having carpal tunnel. I hear that's pretty painful. Big updates. This game hasn't changed since June. They ruined PvP, and everybody who said this was a PvE game and PvP kids don't matter are seeing the effects. I'm always and will always be a PvE Andy, but the open world PvP never bothered me. If I couldn't kill somebody comfortably with my PvE combos, I'd just leave LOL and away. It made the game much more exciting. Yeah, it was kind of that excitement. The unknown. You're always like watching your back. Still remember the Infinite Pots came out at Blood Wolves. I couldn't find a spot for the first week. Made the game feel full of life. Yep. Now, Arsha is a PvE server. On normal servers, you don't see anyone, and everybody's on the Marnie realms. The game just feels dead almost. Yeah. It's so crazy to like explore the world. Even like grinding spots, and it just feels like no one's ever there because of the Marnie realm. 100% agree, man. I remember the good old days being in those giant battles between guilds. They were fun. Even if I was on the losing side, it was just a great being able to throw down that way. It was super fun. Like I had my best times back in the day with guild decks. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I used to play this game a lot in high-end PvP guild, having massive guild versus guild. Suddenly a third siege guild shows up. That was peak content. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think the gutting of open world PvP has made the game much duller. Even if it was annoying to some, annoyance can be a strong motivator to work towards overcoming. Very true. Slowly quit the game about 8 months ago. Ever since it changed open world PvP, it's just boring. The world just feels empty. Yep, every grinding safe and sound alone. You can't even fight anyone anymore. As someone who don't play in a big guild, an entire game lost its purpose. What's the point of grinding for gear when you can't even use it ever? This slowly destroyed the reason BDO was so fun in the first place for Care Bears and new players. I've been commenting every video of the BDO YouTube channel ever since they removed the one-sided declaration. The change killed it. No more motivation to chase the gear or kill that guy that griefed you. Yeah. All right. This might be the last comment here. Let's see. They messed up too much. I discussed this yesterday with a friend as well. We came back to the conclusion that PA just never cared about their players. While PA took literally half a year to react to an overwhelming mass of negative feedback to their node war system, and still haven't reacted to so much other feedback. Other games, Throne and Liberty, have already patched in fixes to problems that came up within the last 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, Throne and Liberty is really... The developers are really listening to their player base, for sure. And they're making pretty quick changes. This showed me and my friends that it is in fact possible to listen to players and react in a fast, decisive way. And even though BDO still has a way better combat system, we just do not feel like swapping back to play a game made by devs who so clearly work against their community. In my eyes, in order for BDO to recover, they would have to literally turn back time to before all the open world and no war changes, and probably even further than that, and start implementing big changes based on the community feedback. Yes, majority of the community feedback. Majority, not minority, majority. Because now the trust is finally broken to an extent that they cannot fix, and at the same time, an alternative game, Throne and Liberty, has taken the stages on all those disgruntled players to swap and fill their MMO craving. Yep. All right, I found one more comment here. We'll look at the biggest issue in this game is that they're actively slaughtered open world PvP in a game that isn't designed with it in mind. The current philosophy is trying to push the game to a more PvE-centered game without the dungeons or activities to make it interesting. Preach it. Preach it. Node War and Siege only offer so much in terms of playability, and most wars are won by politics and not genuine efforts anyway, so in the end, what's the point in learning a class when the outcome is predetermined? Yep, I really think it just kind of goes back to a year ago when they just took open world PvP out. Yep. All right. What a post. Wow. Yeah, I think, you know, there's definitely a lot of concerns here. And I think with the new accessories coming into the game, you would think that these numbers here would be better than just gaining 10 more players. So I think that really kind of just shows you how the community kind of feels about the new accessory update, and just that the developers are still not really paying attention or listening to community feedback. And I don't know, we'll see how the future months come up, especially with the winter ball coming up. We'll see if they have any more kind of new interesting ideas for content, or if the 100 level dungeon will be coming out at some point. I'm sure they're probably going to be introducing a new class, maybe the Gunslinger. Maybe that'll bring people back into the game for a short period. But yeah, you know, there's still a lot of concerns right now with BDO. But let me know down in the comments, you know, how are you feeling with the new accessories? Are you liking them? Do you like the change? Do you like not being able to buy these accessories on the marketplace now, right? You're forced to enhance them. So let me know down in the comments. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.